Have you ever considered what it truly costs to be a disciple of Jesus Christ? This is a question that has been asked since the time of Jesus himself, and it's a question that we'll be exploring today. In the book of Luke, chapter 14, Jesus addresses a large crowd of people who were traveling with him. He uses this opportunity to communicate a profound message about discipleship. The cost of being a disciple, he says, is nothing less than everything you have. In verse 26, Jesus says, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple." Now let's be clear. Jesus isn't advocating for literal hatred towards your family or your own life. Instead, he's using a powerful metaphor to illustrate the level of commitment required to follow him. To be a disciple of Jesus, you must prioritize your relationship with God above all else. Your love for God should be so profound, so all-encompassing, that every other relationship seems lesser in comparison. Moving on to verse 27, Jesus continues, "And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple." Here, Jesus is speaking about endurance. The cross in this context symbolizes the hardships and sacrifices that may come along with following Jesus. To carry one's cross means to endure these hardships willingly, to accept them as part of the journey of discipleship. So what does all this mean? Well, it means that to be a disciple of Jesus Christ is more than just a label, more than just a title. It's a commitment, a pledge to prioritize God above all else in your life. It's a willingness to endure hardships and sacrifices for the sake of following Jesus. It's a decision to live your life according to the teachings of Jesus, no matter the cost. So being a disciple isn't a casual commitment, it's a total surrender of your life to follow Jesus. Just as anyone planning to build a tower or a king preparing for war, discipleship requires careful consideration. Let's delve into verses 28 to 32. Jesus presents two metaphors, building a tower and a king preparing for war. Both scenarios require careful planning and assessment of resources. The tower builder must ensure he has enough funds to complete his project, lest he becomes a laughingstock. Similarly, a king must evaluate his army's strength compared to his opponents, to avoid a catastrophic defeat. These metaphors are not about towers or wars. They are about the commitment required to follow Jesus. Deciding to become a disciple is not a decision to be made lightly. It requires us to assess our ability to commit, to carry our cross, to give up everything we have. If we fail to do this, we risk ridicule and defeat, just like the tower builder and the king. Therefore, we must count the cost before deciding to follow Jesus, just as one would do before starting a construction project or a war. What happens when a disciple loses their commitment or saltiness? Let's delve into this metaphor. In the days of Jesus, salt was a precious commodity. It was used not just for flavor, but also as a preservative. However, if it lost its saltiness, it was deemed useless and discarded. Now consider this in the context of discipleship. A disciple who is fully committed to the teachings of Jesus, who carries their cross with conviction and unwavering faith, is like salt that retains its flavor. They add value to the world, preserving the message of love and grace that Jesus brought forth. But what about a disciple who fails to commit fully? They're likened to salt that has lost its flavor. They're ineffective, failing to fulfill their purpose and essentially becoming useless in their role as disciples. So, a half-hearted commitment to discipleship is as ineffective as salt that has lost its flavor.